This is Lisa from Mobile Tech Review, and today we're going to take a look at the Samsung Focus 2. As you might guess, it's the second generation Samsung Focus Windows phone on AT&T, and it's also the first Samsung Windows phone to have LTE. It's only $50 on contract, and we're going to take a look at it now. The Samsung Focus 2 will be available May 20th for $49.99 with contract, making it obviously very affordable. It has mid-range specs. You're not going to get top-of-the-line stuff for the price. It's got a 4-inch Super AMOLED display, not Super AMOLED Plus. Resolution, of course, is 800 by 480, because currently with Windows Phone 7.5 Mango, that's what you get for resolution. There are no options in that operating system for other resolutions. That will be coming, hopefully, in the future with Windows Phone. It has a 1.4 gigahertz Snapdragon S2 second generation CPU, and again, that's pretty standard across all phones that we've seen in the past 6 months on Windows Phone platform. Usual 3 capacitive buttons here. That's part of the Windows Phone style. You have a front video chat camera up here, light sensor, proximity sensor, and obviously the phone is white, and it's also very shiny. Now when you have a white phone, a gloss finish is good because it doesn't pick up and hold on to dirt, but still, you know Samsung, boy, do they love shiny plastics, and that's what you've got here about the most shiny and slippery phone you could hope for. We've got the metal trim that wraps around, kind of gives it a little bit of visual interest. Reminds me a little bit of the Samsung Blaze on T-Mobile. They like to put that wider metal strip up there. 5 megapixel camera with an LED flash, and that's where your speaker fires from down there. And on the side we have the dedicated camera button. Microsoft requires that for Windows phones. Always a handy thing to have. And here's your power button. By the way, if the phone is sleeping, you can press and hold this button to actually wake up the phone and launch the camera application. You don't have to separately wake up the phone, then wait, then hit this button right here. Kind of handy. Micro USB port here for syncing music to the phone and other stuff using your Zune desktop or your Windows Phone for Mac connector software. Yes, you can sync your iTunes playlist if you got a Mac to this guy here, as long as it's not iTunes DRM protected. Most things are not these days on iTunes for music. This side you have your volume rocker, and this little notch here is where you grab to pull off the back. Up top here we have the headphone jack and a microphone. If we yank off the back, you'll see the battery and the micro SIM card slot. Here's your micro SIM card slot. There is no memory expansion on this. Generally on Windows phones we don't see that. I know the original Focus had that, but that caused more problems than it was worth, apparently, so they've stopped using it. And that's because Windows Phone handles removable storage in an unusual way. It formats both removable storage and internal storage as one continuous volume, so once you stick the card in there, you can't really take it out again unless you want to corrupt your phone. Therefore, no removable storage in this. The bad news is this only has 8 gigs of internal storage with 6 gigs free for your use, so you're not going to be carrying a whole lot of tunes and videos on this. Windows Phone is always snappy and responsive, and that 1.4 gigahertz CPU really is pretty much the top of the line these days for Windows phones, so everything works quickly on this. Games run just fine. All applications are smooth. The web browser is good. You've got IE9 Mobile on board here. You've also got MS Office Suite, courtesy of Microsoft themselves, and you have the usual very good Windows Phone keyboard, which makes little sounds as you type in, and it's quite accurate. And here we've loaded our site, mobiletechreview.com, and it loaded so quickly, really, we couldn't even show you the load times here, because we do have fast LTE here on AT&T. Speaking of that, with our download speed test, we were getting about 12 megabit per second down and about 4 up, which is pretty good. Not as fast as necessarily the Nokia Lumia 900, which was closer to 15 megabit per second down, but still, it's pretty good speed. And pinch zooming is always very fluid on Windows Phone as well. And the screen, the Super AMOLED screen, makes everything nice and colorful. You know how Samsung displays are. Really popping colors and very high contrast. Windows Phone does not support Adobe Flash Player. It does do HTML5 video, however, so we're not going to be doing any Adobe Flash tests here. The Samsung's biggest problem is this phone right here, the Nokia Lumia 900. This guy is only $99. You get a bigger 4.3-inch Super AMOLED with clear black display, and it really does do a good job of showing you rich, deep blacks with lots of natural gradients and all that kind of thing. It's a better camera. And overall, the Lumia has been a big hit for a reason. It's a very nice phone, so this is what you get for $50 more, unfortunately, for Samsung. Were it not for the Lumiere, however, this would be a very nice follow-up to the original Samsung Focus, other than the fact that, again, it only has that 8 gigs of internal storage. We would really like to see 16 here, especially given the music-centric Zune software. You just want to load a lot of music on here. It's a real pleasure to use the music player. It has a great interface. It's the same as on all Windows phones, that said, but still, it's kind of a shame. In terms of call quality and reception, the phone has good call quality, and reception is average among AT&T LTE phones, and that's a good thing. On average, AT&T's phones have quite good reception on LTE. And of course, it falls back to HSPA Plus for also fast data if you're not in LTE area, and reception on that network was quite good as well. All the software is your standard Windows Phone software. It's like we've shown you on all the other Windows phones. We're not going to do a deep dive on that because Microsoft pretty much sets the interface for most of this stuff in stone. You've got your live tiles here, including some that update and show you new stuff. Like we've got our People Hub right here, which isn't just my address book, but it's also my social networking for Facebook and Twitter, as you can see right here. I've got stuff going on for my Twitter and Facebook accounts. And I can swipe sideways to get to my address book pretty easily. In terms of AT&T software, we've got the usual stuff here. And here's the neat thing about Windows Phone. Anything you don't want that's added by the carrier, you can remove. So if you don't want AT&T Square barcode scanner or family maps, you can get rid of it. AT&T Navigator is here. That's pretty handy for those of you who want turn-by-turn spoken directions. Uverse Mobile for those of you who like their Mobi TV streaming service. And not too much else from them except for the usual Yellow Pages mobile at the bottom there. We've got Xbox Live on the phone. Again, standard for Windows Phone. And you can see, yes, indeed, we do have Angry Birds here available and a lot of other pretty good games. And then we're going to test out Splinter Cell Conviction. Speaker volume, as you can hear, it's okay. It's not super duper loud. We're at about 60% of maximum volume now. And now we're at 22 out of 30. So there's our nice introductory cutscene. Looks good. Skip to the end. So there it is, Tom Clancy's Splinter Cell, and it's playing just fine. Now, one thing that I want to note is when we were playing games, the screen got really dark. Okay, I don't mean just because it's dark at night in Tom Clancy's Splinter Cell. That's because, you know, Samsung, they like to have this extra little brightness setting with their Super AMOLED displays. So even though we have brightness set to high, you can see right there, right now we're not using the automatic brightness function, it was still getting dark on us. And that's because there's this extra thing called extra settings. So here you go, extra settings, and you can see here's an option to use auto display intensity, and what it does is it analyzes what's on the screen and it decides the best brightness for you. Now usually what it does is it takes a white web page and it dims the screen because it figures you don't need brightness set that high, but apparently this is a little overzealous and it will do it in things like games that have colorful screens. So if you're having problems with that, go into those extra settings and turn this off. You can also control other things like control vibration feedback and useful things like that. And so since this is Windows 7.5 Manga, you've got your standard UI things here. Right now you can see our applications are in a list. And there are about 90,000 applications now on the market, and there's a lot of good things there. There's Flickster, there's IMDb, there's Skype, there's Evernote. In fact, you can see we've got Skype installed right here. You can also use Tango for video calls if you want, but I think Skype is probably the most popular. Again, you got Microsoft's mobile office here for Word, PowerPoint, and Excel. And anything that you want to put on the front as a live tile, say we want to add Photo Studio. We just say pin to start, and it's going to toss it right down there for us. Anything you don't want, say I don't want AT&T Family Map, just press and hold, and hit the unpin button, and it's gone. And then you can move them around and tidy up if you like. And when you're done, just hit the home button again, and that's all there is to it. Other standard features of the operating system include voice command. You also get Bing Maps and their places of interest, which is actually pretty good. They've got low gas finder, and they can find restaurants near you and theaters and all that kind of thing. It works actually very well. The phone has Wi-Fi 802.11bgn, single band 2.4 gigahertz, Bluetooth, and a GPS as well. That works with both Bing Maps and with AT&T Navigator. Battery life on the phone on LTE has so far been pretty good. We've easily made it through the day. 1750 milliamps is plenty of battery capacity. Probably with light use, you can make it 2 days with this. With heavy use, you're going to have to charge by the end of the day. With moderate use, you're probably going to get a day and a half, so not bad. And one thing this does have over the Nokia Lumia 900 is the fact that the battery is swappable, so you can pop off the back and put a spare battery in if you need to. The phone's 5-megapixel rear camera here, it takes decent shots. Samsung does a good job with their camera phones, but that's thoroughly middle-of-the-road 5 megapixels, so it's not going to stand out certainly against the HTC Titan II with its 16-megapixel camera, or even the Nokia Lumia with its 8-megapixel camera that takes nice shots. Video is limited by the operating system right now at 720p recording, so all the phones, they're at level ground there in terms of absolute resolution. In terms of quality, the Titan II and the Lumia will shoot better quality video. But that said, this guy does not take bad quality video at all. It has a built-in video player, speaking of, so you can play whatever you've recorded. You can also play WMVs. You can use the Zune desktop or Mac Windows Phone connector to load and transcode any videos you want and put them on here. And you can rent and buy movies and stuff from the Zune marketplace as well. The 4-inch Super AMOLED screen looks nice when viewing videos and also when viewing video, though these days 4 inches might seem a little small. The good thing about that, though, is this is a more pocketable phone than certainly the large Titan II and even the Lumia 900. So that's the Samsung Focus 2, available on AT&T on May 20th for $49.99 with contract. Certainly it's not a bad phone for the price, and if you're looking for a smaller phone, that makes it appealing. But otherwise, I hate to say it, but the Nokia Lumia 900 really shows it up for only $50 more. I'm Lisa from Mobile Tech Review. Visit our website for the full review, and don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel.